2. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Menu Podcast, episode 114. I'm joined with my brother, my co-host, Tay.
Hello, everyone.
I was waiting for you to say something. And I'm Moose. And we got very special guests here today, folks. We got very, very special guests. We have Sarah Dawn Montes and her husband, Joey. She is a Republican candidate for the House 32. She's a wife, mother, math teacher, MMA fighter, yogi, go-getter, big stepper, going crazy. And last but not least, we have technical support in the back, Sifu Ying. Yeah, buddy. That was my most flawless intro
almost
to date.
Just about. I think
Just
that
about.
I applaud you on that one. I had, I knew you were going straight into the technical support. Sorry, I hurry up and jump 3 pages.
You felt it.
Okay.
There you go.
But thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 114 Off the Menu Podcast. We're glad to be here. Thank you guys for building up our watch hours, and our subscription count hasn't been going up, y'all. Come on, I know you guys are watching. Just go and subscribe.
Just hit the subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. We respond to comments. We do all that kind of stuff. But any more interaction that you guys would like from us, just let us know. We try to show up to events. We try to do all this other stuff.
And we still have the deal to take P to like a haunted hotel.
Like, okay, that one will happen, but we have a new deal. If you get 100 likes on the last one with Genesis and Meg M, if that one gets to 100 likes, he will go take a heels class for you guys, and we'll get that all filmed.
Film it. So there's some incentive. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, would you like to see P in heels?
Would I like to see? Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Will I see? Yeah, I'll for sure.
Yeah. Okay, you're gonna be there.
I'll be there.
Okay. But thank you guys once again for tuning in. We are coming to the end of this studio, as you see here.
Yes.
So many memories, so many people that we've shared this space with and shared their stories. And we're happy to have Sarah here to share hers. So Sarah, I'm going to start off the question with, who are you and what do you do?
Hi. Well, thank you so much for having us on the show. This is really exciting. So my name is Sarah. We're running a campaign right now. The Republican candidate for House District 32. And I think we're really making waves. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time. And the ballots are going to be mailed out on October 15th. Mm-hmm. So we're so close. So
how did you... Okay, so you're also a math teacher. You're a wife. You have all this stuff, with your name. How do you find time for you to be able to do this and join and run this campaign? Of course, with your husband here, who has your back in getting things going. But how is this possible, and for you to be able to juggle all this?
Definitely a lot of help. So Joey, he is husband / campaign manager / dad, and he does everything from like planning events, a lot of social media work, getting the people there that we need. Mike on, with the Mike on show, he puts in a lot of time and energy to come all the way from Provo to here. So thank you, Mike on, and a lot of friends and volunteers that we've met along the way. So Alex and Angel, big shout outs to you guys. During the day, I am a math teacher, but this year I took this year off, just knowing that I would be on my phone a lot, and if I get elected, I don't want to have a substitute in my class for a few months, January to March, and so I'm working with my mom. She has an assisted living, and I do that during the day. And then as soon as we get home, or I go get the kids, we get home and we're already getting ready for an event or a podcast or a honk and wave, or I don't know, just a whole bunch of things, even planning that we have to sit down and plan. So I think time management. That's a big thing.
Sounds about right. Your whole day is just blocked out from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And I got to ask too, because you went over a lot of things. What inspired you to even kind of take this on in the first place from being a math teacher?
Okay. That is such a good question. And I wish I had like just a simple answer, like, oh, it was this. But it was like a slow process, like in 2020 when COVID hit, and I was in working with my mom, the assisted living, and they had all these rules and what they wanted us to do with all our Alzheimer's patients, and have them wear masks, and they couldn't be near each other, and we even have someone who has autism. So like it was really hard to say, okay, we're going to do everything you say. We wanted to keep them safe. We did. Nobody even got COVID in our facility. But I think that was like a huge thing, like to see how much power the government has, and like families know how to take care of their families, and just having the government step in and say, no, like we know how to do it. So Eric Moutsos, he had an event. It was called Utah Business Revival, and it was like at the Salt Lake City building across the courthouse. And he had this event it was like a protest, because there were still other protests going on. And so it was weird. Like you can gather and go do like a firework event or anything like that, but you can go protest, like the Black Lives Matter. And other protests were going on. So we were like, okay, we're going to have a protest. That was a huge event where I started, like, I guess, getting involved politically.
Okay, so it was like a lot of factors kind of building up, wanting to change or make a change.
Yeah, that was the first one. And then, there were a few, like, I was in college, and there was a competition for, and it included a stipend, like a few $1,000 stipend. And I was like, wow, that I could really come in handy right now. And it was to go work at a political party. So a Democrat and a Republican each got the stipend, and could work with the Utah Republican Party or the Utah Democratic Party. So yeah, that it kind of just every year or every few months I got more involved into something.
Well, that's nice to hear that you kind of have a reason to be doing this. You know, throughout the years, you've kind of built this relationship with, being in the politics of what Utah has to offer. And you slowly got to see where it was going. And then it also put you in a position where you think you can make a change for where Utah is going. And the biggest thing for us in the podcast is that we don't want Utah to be forgotten for the people that grew up here. And you have represented Utah your whole life, right? From what I was looking at, you were running for the same district that you pretty much grew up in, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's amazing to hear that that's something full circle in life, how that happened, right? That you were going to the school districts, and then now you're running for a district of house and that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's so true. Just being out canvassing and asking these voters, like, just getting to know them a little bit more. A lot. There has been a huge influx, especially in South Salt Lake, where we're at. And it kind of seems like, I don't know, like a huge percent, like 60%. It just feels like it. I'm not saying it is. It feels like 60% are like from other states.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot less, but
it feels like it. We
does.
feel the difference growing up here, because like even my wife, she moved here, I don't even know how many years ago, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And she even sees the difference between the last like 5 years or so.
especially in traffic.
Traffic is the thing, man. It's like battling every day out on the streets. We were joking, or we're going to ask, she's like, do you think she can figure out the traffic problem?
I'll try.
I was like, what hard hitting questions can we ask? And I was like, the whole time building up into this episode, though, it was like, we had the nerves of speaking with you. Then I was just laying downstairs before the episode, and I was like, I'm just gonna be us, because honestly, that's what you are gonna do as well.
Awesome.
So we're literally just gonna ask you the questions that we ask every podcast guest that comes on, so we can get to know more about you and what you're doing here today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And speaking of which, too, remind us like where you grew up in Utah.
I grew up in South Salt Lake, the same house that we live in right now. So I was born there and then raised until like 4th grade. I went to Roosevelt Elementary, and in 4th grade, my parents got divorced. So I moved in with my mom. And from there, I moved in like with my sister, and then we moved, I don't know, an apartment, Taylorsville, and then now we're back in South Salt Lake. So yeah, my dad passed away in 2022, and we had an inheritance, and my sister wanted to go to Colorado, so we made an arrangement where I could have the house, and yeah, we cherish the house a lot. So.
I totally get that too. I feel like that's my parents' house now. It's like, if you guys ever part with this place, I'm gonna be so upset, because like, aside from all the work that they've done on it, like my dad built a whole pond in the back, whatever. But for some reason,
help?
I did help. I helped.
Yes.
Dig the hole, but the decorating and all the operational stuff to get that fountain going, whatever he does, it was all him. But I helped dig the hole, though.
Yeah.
I get the credit. But
so it's like art almost. Like, you have all these projects that you've done, and it's like, I don't want to just like give it away because you've put so much into the house.
Exactly. Like even all the family parties that we have, for some reason, ends up at my parents' house, and I'm like, okay, I guess it makes it easier for us. But it, like, my neighbors probably get so tired of it because there's cars down the street. Because
awesome.
every Laotian family is humongous. So, yeah,
Cool.
Yeah. So as you're preparing for the election, it's here in November, correct? So you get the ballots back in October 15th.
Yeah, the Salt Lake County Clerk will start mailing them out on October 15th, and you have up until November 5th, or does it have to be postmarked the day of, Joe? Okay. Sure it's the day. Yeah, and no, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, or you can go in on election day and vote on November 5th.
And for the people that are watching, what's a reason to be voting at this very moment? What is going on in Utah that makes this so valuable? Because I know over the past few years, it's been a really big thing in the community where people are now of age are wanting to vote. Mm-hmm. But why are people needing to vote now? Because I see a lot of stuff happening. We've got a post shared of us recently, and like the whole book thing that I don't know, I even remember that girl's name is, but I was just so upset about that, and for the people that are out there, like, this is the kind of stuff that's going on and that people need to know.
Mm-hmm. So I think if you look at California, it's like almost shows like what's going to be here if we don't do anything. So that is, I think, the scariest thing. Like, we don't, we are all for parental rights. Parents should be raising their kids, not the government. Mm-hmm. We look in California, how they handled COVID, everything locked down, people lost their businesses. Yeah. The politicians were still out doing their own things. Their kids were going to private schools. They were going to get their hair done at private hair salons. So just, I don't know. I always think of like what it could be like if we don't put in this work and get elected. And yeah, you're right. The book bans, I even call it a book ban, but it's really just taking inappropriate books out of schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so strange because we're obviously not in school anymore, so we don't know what's happening. You guys have children, and so this is something that needs to be prevented from even making it to the schools, first of all, because honestly, when I saw it, it was kind of disheartening to understand why that was even placed inside of a school, first of all, and for her to even grab those 13 banned books and go put it in front of a library where children are walking by every day, I was at distraught. I honestly didn't know how to really think about it. I was disgusted for most of all, but and I honestly didn't know that was happening in Utah. So aside from just being parents and stuff, we also who don't have kids should still be in the know of what's going on in this community.
Because it was a big story. It really broke out. And I was honestly very surprised how divisive it was. How did you guys speaking about it? Did you guys have to deal with any angry comments, things like that? And how'd you navigate that?
Angry comments. I think there were a lot of angry comments because they thought I was Sahara. They're getting our names mixed up.
Okay.
But no, yeah. And that side is like the progressive side. They're very loud. There's not that many of them, but when they talk, they're like very assertive and persistent. So, yeah, but we live in a conservative state, and I know of a lot of our leaders here in Utah that are not okay with this happening, yeah, even the community. So speaking out.
Yeah. So for people that are trying to get to know what you're doing here exactly, let's go into a little bit of who you are. So you grew up here in Utah. Everything's on your page. So that's where I kind of learned a lot more about you. You got a full ride to Westminster. Let's talk about stuff that you grew up with here in Utah and how Utah has transitioned to what it is today and what you're representing for what the future of Utah is.
Okay. Where do I start now? Where? With Westminster. Okay. So I went to Westminster College, and it's a very liberal college. And so it was very, eye-opening. I don't want to say anything bad about what they're... okay.
Yeah, you're a safe space. You can speak
You're
freely.
safe. You're safe here.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you guys have an ongoing battle every day with what the internet perceives you guys and perceives everyone else. So as strong as you guys are out there, you can feel like that here. This is a safe space for everyone.
And we always want to talk about each one of our guests personal experience too. So it doesn't we don't dislike or just take anyone out. Everybody should be able to speak freely here. Even here, we've had really dumb conversations that we should have never recorded, but yet they've made it on air plenty of times. So they're totally fine.
Okay. So when I think it was the year that I started, the school wanted to start having more conversations about DEI just in every single class. So that's diversity, equity, inclusion. And I was just trying to get my math degree. But in every class, even the math classes, they would want to put in a little bit of their way of thinking. So in a math class, they were saying that, it was a computer programming class that I was taking. They would... I just forgot what I was going to say because I have two things that I'm thinking about. Okay.
Computer programming.
So, they would bring up these stories with technology, when you go into the bathroom and wash your hands, those have light sensors. Okay. And so they were saying that, everything in America is inherently racist. And when you would go wash your hands, it was not working for dark colored people. And so just having that go out to the whole class. And I was older when I went to school because I was been raising kids and stuff. So, but all these young people, mostly everybody there was 18 to 22. And so it's wait, what? Oh my gosh, America is racist. because the toilets, the sensor toilets aren't flushing for the dark people and whatever. So that, and then like algorithms. So this is a different class, but they would say, oh, America's systemically racist because in the algorithms that we use in our social justice, they are giving scores based on like where a person lives to reduce recidivism. So say somebody in Rose Park and somebody in Holiday, they both get some kind of charge, like we'll say shoplifting. They both get a shoplifting charge. Okay, so they go to jail or get out. They do the surveys, and with the surveys, like each question you get like a score. So at the end of the survey, they add up the scores, and the person in Holiday will get a score of like 30. And then someone in Rose Park or wherever will get a score of 45. And that is because there was a question that was asking, where do you live? And because of that question, because there's more crime, like on the west side, it would give the person a higher score just because they're like, oh, they probably are going to come back to jail just based on where they live. So we have this discussion in class. We're taught this. I go home and I'm like, I don't know, like what to believe. Like, this is crazy that I think like this must be true. Because they went into such detail. Yeah. Well, I go home and I start researching, and I learn that Trump signed the First Step Act. It was like, really long, like I think 100-something pages, hundreds of pages. And it said in there that he took those kinds of questions out. And so I'm like, okay, so he made this illegal now. Like, this is good. We haven't had any of this, what is it called when they redo stuff? Revisions. Yeah, like any of these revisions for 30 years or something. Very long time. And Trump did it. So I go back and tell the class and the teacher, and it just starts like a debate. Like if you start bringing up something, then it goes to, oh, well, Trump did this, and it goes to the border, or, and it's just like.
And this is with the teacher?
Right? The teacher,
okay,
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think every single, not every single, most of the teachers, I did have a favorite teacher. Shout out to Bill Bynum. He was awesome, but all the other teachers wanted to have like a more discussion like set up in the class, even the math classes. So, yeah.
It's so crazy to hear your perspective on it, because it's not just classrooms that are having this discussion. It's everywhere you go in Utah now. You cannot even say what side you represent or anything, because now there's a discussion, and when there's a discussion that happens, it's just the negatives that they throw back at you, but they don't ever see the other side of it. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure with what you were having to go through, you were like, you learned something about what happened, and it was a positive, and they still took the ammo of the negative and shot that at you. And then that's got to be pretty tough that you have to go through something like that.
And especially during school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I do feel like that happens on both sides. I don't know. Yeah. It's really hard.
Well, the way that I try to at least think about it, because I know good people on both sides. Like, it doesn't really matter like what they think. I know these people really well, and I know they're genuinely like good people. But then I think when these kind of conversations come up, they become very divisive, and people can only kind of see the side they've already chosen. And it's been kind of a little difficult to navigate. Like you're saying in school, which is crazy that the teacher is kind of, I don't think they should always like impose their opinions about certain things. I think it's a little inappropriate at times. But with just like people in general, it's a little hard. It's hard to navigate, like what Tay was saying.
Yeah. I don't know. So, but I guess I do appreciate, like, I really admire all those teachers because they did get me to start doing my own research. but I hope that it went like that for all the other kids. So another class that they had, this was when the semester after I left, but I still had friends that went to Westminster. There was a class called pornography. And in that class, they watched scenes and analyzed and discussed it. I don't know exactly, like, I didn't have any of my friends actually go to that class, which is probably a good thing. So I don't know what they talked about, but I did make a complaint, and I went to the dean of the whole school. And I told her, I was like, this is just inappropriate. And she said that there's pornography everywhere. It doesn't matter, like all these movies and in art and everything. And so their idea is to like watch it and talk about it and see if you think there's any like problems or how to make it better. And I
can't tell if that's an art class
I was
or like a philosophy.
I was not prepared for that at all.
My whole mind was going, like, you're watching it in class?
It's like what?
Yeah.
It's like statistics.
So like one of their things was equality and like making sure women and men have the same like views and one's you're not biased or whatever. So they would watch a scene and say, okay, do you see how the man is treating the woman? Or like, do you see how the woman did that to the man? And like, I don't know, just like going into all of that, but knowing it's wrong anyways. So you're trying to get something good or bad out of something that's bad already.
Yeah.
Or shouldn't, it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't even know what good comes out of that, honestly.
I mean,
because
I'm really trying to think right now.
I'm trying to be like on board with it. Like, cool. They did something that, okay, not cool, but you know, it's like weird to even think that as adults, that this is a college, first of all.
Yeah.
As adults, this is something that you have someone navigating you in life through.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know. I think I can only come from an artsy fartsy place because I'm an artsy fartsy guy. But it's like kind of trying to find the meaning and like seeing if it's like morally right. That's the only thing I can think about. But I mean, I've heard of crazy college classes, and a lot of them surprisingly have to do kind of with sex. So yeah.
Okay.
It's not out of their bounds.
Okay.
Candace Owens actually reshared it was my schedule because I still had access to the class schedule. And she reshared my post. I thought that was cool. I was like, I should have put my class picture there or something too. But yeah.
That's crazy that it got to that far. Because Candace Owens is she's big where she's big. At, right? Yeah. And a lot of debates or things that have gone on that I've watched on the internet is because of her. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's amazing to hear that even just a little share like that, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I really look up to her. She's really cool.
Yeah.
And while being in school, did you ever have like kind of politics like in your mind while you're going to school, or this kind of happened organically?
Like in high school or college?
In college. Yeah.
In college. No, I don't. Not really.
Okay. So like the plan was just to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And then what?
I never planned to do this. I started helping behind the scenes, kind of like in, it was like 2021 or when I received. So at Westminster, I received that stipend, and it included the internship or internship at the state party. So I worked there under Carson Jorgensen. And I think that was another big like milestone working with them. And I met Micah. She was the she was the executive director, and then she left, and hold on, what happened first? Maybe these were at the same time. I knew her from also the Huntsman Kafusi campaign. So I was interning at with him, and that was in 2020. He was running for governor. Huntsman, Thomas Wright, Greg Hughes, and Cox. And all four of them were on the Republican primary. Oh man, now this is going to get juicy. Now it's a whole nother topic. So that year, so we have SB 54. So instead of just like the governors being able to get on the ballot by getting nominated and voted in by the delegates, SB 54, it's a bill. It allows a candidate to gather signatures. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to get the delegate vote. I'm just going to, or maybe I'll try, but just in case I don't, I'm going to buy the signatures or gather the signatures. So for governor, it takes 28,000 signatures.
Wow.
So they've got to use a company.
Yeah.
They hire a company, and I've heard that these signatures cost anywhere from like $15 to $25. So whoever that candidate is, they have to have a lot of money. And they have the company that they'll just go door knock and say, hey, will you sign this petition to get so-and-so on the ballot? So when I was with Huntsman, we were doing all kinds of campaigning, like events, and I think he was doing the signature gathering. I learned a lot about like kind of how to run a campaign just behind the scenes.
And speaking of that too, is it like this is your first campaign you're running, right? Like you ever ran? How do you feel as like a first time campaign runner?
I feel like I knew enough to do this, but just like learning how to, I don't know, there's still things when like being in charge, like you don't know exactly, like fundraising, that's a huge one. So when I was with Huntsman, I was doing like a lot of, I don't know, data, social media, calling, and it's like you have a script, but the candidate does the fundraising. So when we first put our names on the ballot, or put our name on to run, someone told me, okay, now you need to raise $25,000. And then the candidate before us said, yeah, $25,000 is about what she came up with. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's no way I could raise that much. And that was really scary. I was like, do we even have a chance? But I don't know, like the social media just kind of started taking off, and so it's interesting how helpful social media is. And I think a lot of the politicians now that are in office don't even realize that, because you need the people that are in your district to vote for you. So I even tell Joey sometimes, I'm like, okay, social media is awesome, like it's super cool, but that's not guaranteeing the vote from the people in South Salt Lake and Mill Creek. And the polling is so expensive, so we don't know where we're at. So yeah, I think fundraising is the hardest thing.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around what it takes to run a fundraiser. So I can only imagine what you go through for that.
Yeah, especially for someone, jumping into a campaign and no one really knowing who you are, and to build the repetition to go over and over and over what you are representing for people to want to even donate for the fundraising. It's got to be a difficult process, but I'm happy that you're here and speaking with us though. And
I'm very honored. Yeah.
Thank you. This is awesome.
For the viewers, what does Sarah represent?
What do I represent? Okay. So what am I running on? How am I going to help?
Yes.
So for sure, like with the parental rights and quality education. With the quality education, I'm all for public schools. Like I love, I went to public school, but there's some parents are not satisfied with the public education for different reasons, like the books that are in there, the bullying, drugs, and like what some teachers are teaching, like that just putting in there. And so this last year was the first year that, and this is Candace Perucci's bill. She passed a bill that said we're going to have school vouchers for students who don't like or aren't doing well in the public school. So it's like an $8,000 voucher for parents to say, okay, this school isn't working. I'd rather have them go to this private school. And so the state gives money to go there. And the lowest income earners received the scholarship first. So I think that's, I would even be willing to vote for more or to request more funding for those kinds of programs.
Yeah.
Another thing, sex trafficking. I was just talking to one of the ladies that live in South Salt Lake right on State Street, and she was telling me she works night shifts and she has kids, and she sees stuff going on State Street by near 3300 South. And this is like a weekly thing. So I was just like, whoa, like, I don't know, is this really? And she said, yes, there is. And I went home and did some research, looked on past news articles, and something interesting that I discovered was there was like a serial or like a stalker kind of person, and they have not caught him yet.
Wow.
So
that's happening here now.
Yes. And I think it's because it happens every so often, like once a year or something. And they've verified that it is the same person, but they just don't know who it is.
Wow.
So
that's shocking, because we saw your video on just like how sex trafficking is still a very big thing in Utah and nobody's talking about it. And which I was already shocked that it's just like, I've lived in Utah my whole life and not really being aware of it. Like, what brought it to your attention first? And then like, how would we even start to think about preventing it?
So I have from high school, and just like when I was younger, I had lots of friends, and we kind of like went our separate ways, after high school. And a few of them went into the escorting business. And they're usually like, they have a headquarters downtown. And they, you can go on their websites. They're very explicit.
They have websites?
Yes, they have the escort companies have websites, and they're girls they're basically strippers or those kind of girls you can have come to your house or party or wherever. And so yeah, there's they're not supposed to do anything besides dancing, but they do way more than that. And with two of my friends, it's like with that kind of business, drugs come in, and it's like sex, drugs, and money. And two of them are no longer here. They passed away. Of an overdose. Oof. So it's sex trafficking. It has a lot of other stuff, like the drugs and just like you know.
It's called all in the same circle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like one lives off another. So
Yeah.
I'm
whatever happens, if that they go into this path of a spiral downward, it's eventually going to end up the same way. You know, every chapter closes the same way when you're opening that door.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like when someone's low on drugs, what will they do to get that drug? If someone has money and they want something else, what will they give to, you know? Just,
Yeah. Oh, that's
So with the escort companies, there's also massage parlors, and they're like on every main street. It'll say like massage, or it has like a girl with her back showing and like rocks down her back. I don't know. So but yeah, those are like modern day brothels. There was one in Midvale, A Plus Massage, and the massage therapist was working. A guy came in, something happened. He ended up stabbing her 56 times and then just went back to California.
Oh my
So-
God.
Yeah.
It's so heavy. I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah. So, like, if we're going to keep these kinds of businesses, I don't want to say, okay, we're going to stop all of them, because I feel like as Utah, we need to have the discussion first. If we keep them, they need to be more regulated. We need to have like other services in there besides just massage, like maybe eyelashes or nails or something to where it's more like open and not so like closed off, like just a hotel rooms or something. And also like, so the escort companies, they have sexually oriented business licenses, but the massage parlors, they're just massage. So I don't believe they are required to have an SOB license. So that means they don't even get checked once a year. And also, if we're like, we all know what there was going on in these places. So I maybe having the women checked more than once a year is necessary, like to keep everybody safe. Having like a check-in, like a mandatory, like they've got to write the name down, or
Yeah, it's heavy stuff, man.
Yeah, because honestly, and it's crazy how, you know, we've grown up in Utah and all this stuff is just happening right underneath us.
Yeah, under
But
our noses.
Yeah, and all this stuff all this stuff that may be going on, there's no platform sharing this kind of stuff. Like other than the news channels, but you have to be on the TV watching the news. Right? And most of us are on social media now. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, I get all my news from SOC Scoop. And that I'm gonna be honest,
great.
you know,
They're
and
great.
we love them over there, but
We love them.
you know, a lot of the stuff, like it's just like car accident stuff, but then there'll be that news, you know, that you know, shooting that happened a couple months ago where the kids pulled up to the other kid's house. And I was like, wait, that still happens here? And for all this stuff that you're kind of just putting out there, I didn't even know a lot of this stuff was happening
No idea.
here in Utah.
Yeah.
yeah. So here's a crazy story. So I was sharing this, like the sex trafficking, what's going on, with a very highly respected Democrat in Utah. And he said, I know exactly what you mean. My back was hurting. I went into this massage parlor, and it was like an Asian massage, and an older lady came out who she was going to give a massage, and he's like, oh no, like he didn't know what they were talking about. So he's like, I'm just going to go. And the lady's like, no, pretty lady, pretty girl. And like she went to go get another girl, and he found out like what they were doing. And he's like, he told me that he called the police and had it investigated, and that parlor was shut down. So, yeah.
This is crazy that we're even hearing this here.
Okay, and this is interesting too. So, I was talking with a bishop of a ward, and he said that during confession, men have told him that they use the massage parlors for more than just a massage.
He told you that?
He told me that.
Oh my God. It's like, I'm like getting a haymaker here. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But I'm happy this is something that you're fighting against, though.
yeah.
Like to hear this stuff, like once again, you're sharing stuff that needs to be shared with the people that live here, right? Because a lot of our take on Utah is that a lot of the stuff that's going on is because a lot of people are coming from different states and making this kind of stuff happen. And that's just my belief on why Utah has changed so much in the last few years. I'm pretty sure all this stuff has happened throughout the years, but with the influx of people coming into Utah and, you know, however their cities are, they're making Utah like that.
Influencing it.
Yeah. So there has been some outside influence to a lot of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And actually, there was something that because you're speaking on just like higher education. What are some like ideas that you have to kind of improve our education system?
Okay, so our public schools do need more funding. Like there's some classes that have 30 kids. Someone in my district, she's a teacher at Cypress, and she has an honors class, and she has 42 kids in that class. And me teaching at a private school, like I only had 12 kids teaching math. And it was so much more, it's like you don't get paid as much, but it's like less stressful and you're really helping them master the concept. So I really feel bad for the teachers that are having those big classes. We do need more funding to help with the class size.
Yeah, because I could relate to that. I went to Copper Hills. I grew up around just West Jordan. And we had the highest populated high school at the time, and I graduated 2013. And so we had classes were normally 30. Some would reach up to 42. So it was we're pretty fortunate as a high school goes because we were offered a lot of different courses, a lot of different opportunities that we can kind of just go for. But yeah, the class size was crazy. So I can only imagine the stress that it like impacts like teachers on because we definitely had the teachers where they just were so fed up with all the kids. So they just kind of like get your heads down and just very short temper. But yeah, when you're teaching that many kids every single day, it could be really tough.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that because my brother-in-law is a history teacher at Cypress High School. And I've come to respect all teachers now because of what he has to go through. I didn't understand this was a 24/7 job. You know, he has to go in and teach these kids. And then when he gets off, he has to prepare for the next day and, you know, grade papers and all this stuff. So I've come to respect what he does as a teacher because I hear all the stories. You go in there, these kids just don't listen. But then when it's just one thing after another, when you're that young and something happens, it's just going to barrel down. All right. It goes from one kid to another. And having a class size at 42, it's got to be stressful. So,
yeah.
And I got to ask, because you're a math teacher, what is your experience like in the classroom? Do kids are they a little crazy like how we hear on the internet or how are your kids?
So mine are pretty good. It's a private school and there's like less than 100 kids in K through 12.
Wow.
So just having a small school, like you know everybody and you just get to know them more. So if there is a problem, it's easier addressed. If someone is acting different or like you like having a mental breakdown or just needs like an extra like a talk, like a like, hey, I'm here kind of thing. Are you okay? It's easier to see that when there's only 15 or 13, whatever kids in your class than 40.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, any public school kid, just like it was very rare to kind of have like a really tight relationship with your teacher and have like the attention that you need in most cases, especially when you're at a high school and even middle school, like how I was. I was just used to just like, the teacher just tells you what to do and you kind of just like go about the work the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I worked at Mount Vernon private school, but I did an internship at Cottonwood High. And that's where I saw like the 30 kid classroom. I don't even know how the teacher would have done it if I wasn't there, because he would give the presentation and then like help them a little bit, but not every kid was getting that help that they needed.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, Cottonwood, but I've got to say this. And I think it's with a lot of high schools. They have, because I went out to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm not going to go to the teachers' ones because the kids is just right across.
Yeah.
The door is bolted open because they have such a problem with vaping.
Whoa.
And yeah, so that is just another like, okay, well, how are kids learning math, especially when it's like really, I don't know, complex and you have to do all these steps when they're going to the bathroom and vaping. So
That's so crazy. The school's a lot different.
I went to Cottonwood and it was just a cigarette problem, but they would just be outside. But the kids are vaping in school is crazy to hear. You went to Ames, right?
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
Full circle. You were just full of surprises when it comes to it, because you went back to do an internship at the school that you were taught at.
Yeah, Ames rents part of the some of the pods from Cottonwood.
Yeah, my so I went to Cottonwood in like 2009, and a lot of my friends were in Ames. So yeah, I got to experience kind of the stuff that they were going through, and it was crazy to see because it was two different worlds from like what Ames is and then what a public high school actually is, because they were just like so different in so many different ways of how things were taught over there versus being in a public school setting.
What is Ames for us that don't know?
I forgot what it stands for.
Well, is it like an off-campus class? that
No,
you
it
take
was a
and-
whole entire.
It's the Academy for Math, Engineering, and Science.
Yes.
Oh,
And
dude,
it's a
that
charter
sounds-
school.
Yeah,
That sounds amazing.
Jimmy Bo, shout out you. He was there.
Oh, yeah.
Eve-
Jimmy was smart, though.
He went there as well. He's one of our early guests, my brother.
Yes.
But he was in Ames as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dang, I'm envious.
So can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Of course.
What have you heard or experienced with like drug problems starting in high school?
Oh man.
I mean, gosh. You want to go first?
I would say it probably started way before high school, hearing the issues, I grew up in Rose Park. So a lot of the representation that was coming out of Rose Park was kind of that stuff, right? It was like you were being taught early to, like, I didn't have a problem with gangs. I didn't have a problem with anything, but I was associated because of people that I was associated with. So you're automatically put into those places. So my first day at West High, I was taken to gang unit, made me lift up my shirt, and they asked me what gang I was in. And then they checked my pockets and emptied out my shoes, and they were checking for drugs on the first day of school. And I was like, wait, is this a problem here in Utah? Because I grew up in Southeast Portland, and we had a lot of those problems, but I didn't know that was happening here in Utah as well. And so, and I started to learn a little bit what was going on in school, and there was a big issue with marijuana. And I'm pretty sure nowadays, with people talking about, what whippets were back in the day, now Galaxy Gas, because I heard my nephews talking about this and they're only 13. I'm like, wait, how are you guys being introduced to this kind of stuff? Because I didn't even know about this stuff till I was like 18.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you move here when you were like 18 then? Or
No.
in
So
school?
I was, I moved here 2008. I was about 15 years old. And that's
okay,
when
so
I,
you were here in high school in 10th grade,
Yes.
right? Okay.
so it was around that time. That's also when I went to Cottonwood. So I went to
And they
Cottonwood
did
and then
a
West High.
search.
Yep. Very first day, right into 30 minutes of my first class.
Did that make you feel like a criminal?
Yeah, because it put me into that place where I associated with how. So I dropped out because I didn't feel that that was a place for me to be. Every high school I went to after that, it was the same thing. no matter where I went. So it wasn't just in Rose Park. It was, Cottonwood did the same thing to me as well. It was just the association of where you're from. So I was, I grew up in Rose Park, and a lot of my credits came from West High and Northwest. So I think that had a big issue of how I was being represented as a student.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Kearns and West Jordan, and every kid in middle school just gets introduced to, I don't know, it could be anything from weed. A lot of guys were like popping pills, things like that. I was not familiar with until I was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, so a lot of it started in kids just doing it recreationally in middle school. I would say that's at least when I started to notice.
What do you think the answer is to that? To preventing that from
That's
happening?
a huge one. I mean, I don't have the answers.
Well,
That's for sure. But
first of all, stopping the drugs from getting into Utah,
Yeah.
that's a big thing, because that's you stop the cut off the supply, then you start cutting off the addiction from the start. But also it's representation needs to be better in being able to talk about these kind of things, because yes, we had the DARE program, but at most times it was a mockery of how they were doing it, and looked more so to us as students that it was more so that they were just there to talk about stuff, to get the money that they were needing to run this campaign or whatever it may be, right? But then I don't know, like, first of all, in this new generation, it's stopping what kids are seeing on the internet. Because like I said, if my nephews know what this galaxy gas is at their age, they're watching the wrong people.
well, actually, you just made me think of an answer, and because this was a psychology class that I took in like first year of college, where the teacher was just objectively talking about the drug and the side effect and the cause that can happen to your body, not really anything else. And I think it was the most like educational like experience I had talking about drugs, because it was just objectively talking about what the drug is and what the drug does and what the drug can do to you. And I think that's like, because I could be wrong too, because I'm not a parent, but then I feel like and I was a teenager too, so like kids are going to be curious, and I think if you give them the answers to what certain things are and what things can do to you, I think that's something that empowered us to kind of grow up and make good decisions, right? Because you
Kill the curiosity.
Yeah, kill the curiosity, because you already know what it's about. And I think, again, it's like kind of the parents parenting. My parents were my mom especially was very just like passionate about wanting us to be good people, because she knew we were. And I think it was like the influence of the both, of knowing exactly what these things are and what are out there, and having that like moral stability at home, kind of being able to navigate good choices and knowing it's like, yeah, this could really ruin my life and the people around me. And so I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that really goes into, or it just goes back into just giving kids the knowledge, because they're going to find it nowadays. I see crazy things on TikTok, Instagram, whatever have you. These kids can see it, a click off of YouTube or anything like that. So I think just letting them know.
Yeah. And it's a hard battle. It's been an ongoing battle for years, and there's no real way to really stop it, because there's always going to be someone that's supplying it, and there's always going to be someone that's doing it. And so it's, where do you stop it first? Is where the youth. And that's what I believe, because it's not going to lead them to wanting to keep trying more and more things as they're getting older. Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with how they're raised, the homes that they're in, and that's the reason they do these kind of things when they're around their friends in school. A lot of that is due through peer pressure, right?
100%. And also influence too, I think. Especially like we're very familiar with like current pop culture. And especially with like certain things that you see in movies, music, and different things, like it makes it look cool to do drugs. So I think just having that know-how, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's what you see, but it's not always the case in real life. Yeah.
So this isn't me being like a legislator and saying, okay, this is how I'm going to fix it, like with legislation. But I think one way to fix or to help this problem is by encouraging families to stay together. So just seeing like how many kids that don't have both parents around, how easy it is for them to go with their friends or do stuff that their parents don't know. And it's like, especially when they don't have a father in the home, it's people could just, come with us. We've got you.
Yeah. And just choosing the wrong group of friends. Cause I think I was always lucky. I always chose a group of friends where we had common interests, where we would like nerd out about things, play video games, break dance, talk about fashion. Like we're always kind of doing something a little bit more targeted. Right. So I think, the kids that you never know who your kids can kind of surround themselves with. Because I mean, it's super easy to go to a party and be offered something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, nothing can get past you, huh, Joe?
He's on it.
Steadfast.
But so with things that are going on in today's culture, how do you feel where Utah is heading, whether you are elected into this house, and what are people expecting to see if you are not put into the place where you are going to make these changes?
Okay. So we're in a red state. We've got the Republicans with a super majority, which is a great thing. They're proposing legislation that is going to protect Utah, the families, and keep Utah what it is. But if I'm not elected, I can't stand up and say like, hey, our city needs this and this and this at the Capitol. I can't represent our city's needs. So, for instance, South Salt Lake has a lot of resource centers, and we've got like if they're tax exempt. So the homeowners basically put up more money. We have the highest property taxes, and South Salt Lake is the lowest average income earners in Utah. So by having all these resource centers, yes, we're helping, but it's falling on us. Yeah. So we need a voice to go and tell those at the Capitol, we need some funding in our city. We're putting in the work. And that's not what the current representative is doing right now.
Wow. So you guys in South Salt Lake, the fact that there's that much discrepancy of between income and how things are being represented there, I wouldn't be surprised that there isn't more help that's happening because of the resource centers that they are providing.
Yeah. Well, the leader the mayor in South Salt Lake, she says it's because she's in the minority party. So basically what she said at the city council meeting was, well, we're not getting any help because we're the minority party. I don't know. I don't get it.
And do you feel like that's a thing that's ongoing here in Utah? That people are using that card to kind of target,
like as an excuse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was inappropriate to say at the city council meeting, and calling South Salt Lake a dumping ground, because right now we're building the Women's and Children's Center on 33rd and right off the freeway. So it was a Motel 6 before. We're glad that it's being turned into something positive, but it's how they describe it as a dumping ground, and we need help, but they're still supporting the current representative that's doesn't even attend the meetings. I think it's absurd.
Wow. You would think that something as big as that, you would have the representation there to speak on what's going on, or at least see what's happening in their own city.
Yeah. Stand up there and give your input, because the road home was there. Wayne Niederhauser, he's in charge of the homeless in Utah. He was there. You got to show up and say what your city needs.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing too. When you're in the role that you are in, representation means so much. Even just showing up to a place, not even having to speak you just being there and existing in that space at that moment makes a big difference to the people that are looking outside, looking in.
Yeah. Did you hear about Fat Cats and how it was being used by the transients? Do you know what Fat Cats is?
The bowling alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on, that's in our district. It's on about 3900 South and 9th East. So the business closed and it was just an open building, and transients were going in there with drugs and staying in there. It was, you could tell that there's like drinks and dirty stuff and garbage. They actually wrote Fent Cats in graffiti on the top, and none of our representatives were saying anything. They weren't demanding that it be taken down. And the residents of Mill Creek were complaining, like they didn't know what else to do. Yeah. So that's when I called the licensing and building department in Mill Creek. I called Mill Creek and let them know what was going on and that it needs to be demolished because stuff was happening. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's strange that happened because, like,
in Fat Cats too. Like,
I know,
place for kids.
I love that place. I had my friends work there growing up, and so a lot of it was us like we were there a lot, just bowling and stuff. But to see it turn into such a waste, and for the city to not even do anything about it is honestly very strange to me, because I see things happening in Utah where things are getting cleaned up really fast, and like all this stuff's going on. So I wouldn't have expected like Utah to be that kind of, or at least South Salt Lake to be like that.
Yeah. And I think it's not any one person's like job really, like it's just collectively. And you've got to have like the heartbeat of the city. Like everybody needs to be on the lookout. So
take care of each other.
Yeah. So how come representatives were driving by, people in the city council, the police, like why didn't they go and demand that it been, demolished or something?
Do you think they just like don't care, or?
I think everybody was kind of waiting for somebody else to do it.
Okay.
I feel like people are just busy and they're like, oh, I'm just the cop. That's, they're the city council, the city council. Oh, I'm not in the licensing department or the building. So
maybe less of people taking the initiative because they feel like maybe the fact that maybe they're feeling they're underpaid and that's why it's taking it too far for them. That could also be a factor of it. Which also shouldn't be. But I know as us as normal people, that's how it may feel. Yeah. Because I'm not going to call the cops on someone doing graffiti, if waste my time for the most part, right? Like I've seen people just do it and I'm just on with my day. But for a representative now that's representing the city, I think there needs to be more initiative in order for that, because honestly, it's once again disheartening to hear that that's what's going on in that city.
Yeah. It's kind of like walking by like trash. Like if you walk by trash, you're kind of okay with it being there. Like it's kind of out of your way and hard to go pick it up, even though sometimes, you might like, okay, I'm going to pick up this trash and go throw it away. Like somebody's McDonald's cup on the ground. Yeah. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But if everybody would just do a little bit of, it would be benefit everybody.
No, I like that. That's what I would use to lecture my friends, because like in high school, one of my friends, I'm not going to call him out by name, but he would litter all the time. And I would get at him every single time, and he knew this. So, but then he's just like, what's one more? And I was like, well, if like 100 people do it, then it's like 100 pieces of trash on the floor. Yeah. And it was always kind of that thing. So it very much is so. And plus, I didn't even think about it too, even as like civilians.
Yeah. So. This is funny. So have you ever dropped something on the ground and during a windstorm?
Yeah.
So I won't pick up somebody else's trash, but if one of my pieces of trash drops, and this just happened when it rained last week, when we had the rainbow, I dropped a water bottle, an empty water bottle went out of the car, and it was going all across the parking lot. I probably looked like a weirdo, but I was just like literally chasing. I was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But...
It's funny because like after going to Japan in 2016, I kind of adopted
That was an eye-opener
their
too.
culture a little, and like I clean up on myself everywhere I go now. Like,
I'm a quarter Japanese.
You
so
are?
I
Really?
learned a lot from my Japanese side.
is that why the
Yes.
last name?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was
Nitsuma.
yes,
Oh.
I was
What?
Nitsuma and then Montes.
okay.
Whoa.
Oh, okay, that
Oh my
makes more sense
gosh.
now. Because I was like,
I'm like mind blown right now.
because I like I said, I read your bio, I see your parents and everything. I was like, wait, where does his last name come from? Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So
that's cool.
what's your ethnicity like? All of them.
So my grandpa was Japanese and my grandma was Mexican. They married and had my dad. And then on my mom's side, they're all mixed, but it's like German, English, Scottish, Caucasian. So
Oh yeah, that's like it just reminds me of my wife because Maddie's a quarter Thai, a quarter Guatemalan, and then half white. So I
Wow.
was like, yeah, same kind of mix a little bit. That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, but after like going to Japan, because I didn't really care for that kind of stuff before, like littering and all that stuff. If I saw it, I wouldn't care. But now because of the culture that they have there, I kind of see it. And like, if it's in my way
clean.
and I see it, I will pick it up and take it to the next garbage can because I'm walking that way anyways. If it's in
That's
sight,
even better. That I need to start doing that.
yeah, because
Let's all do that.
Promise.
We'll start.
it starts honestly. It starts with one person.
Yeah.
and it takes a village to raise a village. So once that one person starts adopting these kind of things, it will kind of just snowball and put into
100%.
effect of how other people are around me. Like my wife, she's the type of person that will go out of her way to do stuff like that. Or at least tell me so she doesn't have to do it, and then I'll do it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I would love to not see any trash while walking down the street.
Yeah. Good thing you don't go out.
Dude, I go out. Okay, I go out. I just don't go out. I'm
Yeah.
not out in the nightclubs, in the bars. Okay, I take my dog out to dog events and things like that. Okay,
Did you go to that? What is it? The
October?
Yeah.
No, we had tickets. We had tickets, but Val got married that day, so we ended up going there. And we didn't give her the tickets, but they go for donations anyway. So
Yeah.
to the Humane Society. So we're like, it's fine. We're actually really bummed out about it.
So aside from all this stuff that you're going on with your campaign, what do you like to do for fun? Because what we've been talking about, you're constantly on the go and always busy.
Oh yeah. For fun, I love to hang out with the family. I like to read and do homework with the kids, like an hour every night. And that's something that I haven't been able to do as much. So it really it's sad. It hurts.
Yeah.
Sitting down during dinner time. That was like before the campaign. It was like, that's just what we do. And now it's like we're stand up and eat sometimes at the counter, like just on the go. So I really miss those. Maybe they don't sound fun, but it's special to me.
Yeah.
To do those.
No, I get that.
I love yoga, gardening, and MMA.
Perfect. Before we go deep in everything, with yoga, have you tried hot yoga?
Yes,
Do you like hot yoga?
I love it.
I did it one time. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Salt Lake Power Yoga downtown is amazing.
I think I went one. I don't know if it was that one, but it was on Foothill Drive.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I went to that one.
Yeah.
Never did yoga in my life. And
That's why it was so hard, though.
and then
Is
my friends told me to go.
Is that core yoga or what?
Yeah, core. That's what it
Okay.
is. Yeah. I don't know how you guys do it. I was like, and I'm pretty good at workouts. I used to go boxing and I like to keep up. But then that one, I was like trying to learn the poses and it was like 100 degrees in there.
I was just going to ask, was it 100?
It was very hot. And then I remember we were plank just for like a minute. It was the longest minute of my life. And
Yes.
and I was like screaming in my head. I was like, what is happening? It was so difficult.
Yeah.
So I praise you for that.
I love that because you get to be like, if you can get through an hour session and you're really like almost freaking out, like how much more can you do like during your day? It's just like,
True.
wow, like
Yeah. I
I
guess
pushed
push
myself
through.
so hard during that. And so it's like, how much can I do this day when I'm not even doing that? Like it's my day off from yoga. I don't know, just
No, I like
knowing
that
that
mentality.
feeling,
Yeah.
feeling of like like you got to do it.
How
I didn't
far can you
break.
push you?
Yeah,
throughout
no,
your day,
that's
right?
actually really good. Now,
Dude, you did it.
I did it. Now I can do anything.
If you need someone to clean up the city, he is Batman. So.
I mean, you can shout me if you shout me out on your IG as Moose Wayne. Oh my God, it solidified me as freaking Batman. You guys can't say anything after
Batman. Okay.
that. And actually, and then with MMA, I'm super curious. How did you get into MMA?
So it started with karate. My kids were in, and one day the sensei just said, "Hey, you're just sitting there. Why don't you come join the class?" And I was like, "Who? What?" He's like, "Yeah, come." And so I just started doing that with them, and so I would go. It would be me and then the kids. And then Joey wanted to start doing like more boxing or MMA. And we found this gym, the Institute of Mixed Martial Arts, near our house on West Temple. And we just signed up one day. And then we're like, wow, we really like this.
Wow,
So
that was I guess that's a little unexpected. I didn't expect you to get it from like the kids class.
yeah,
I thought she was like, I'm a fighter. I've always been a fighter.
Like I used to train when I was 8 years old. I thought they were getting
we did
those.
some competitions in karate, like the tournaments. And it was more of like, okay, you get like points, but it's not realistic. Like in life, like that's not what's going to happen. Somebody's not going to be like, okay, stop.
Yeah, like you get a kick in and it's like, okay, round over.
Yeah. So that's, I guess, just one reason why I really like MMA. It's very practical.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm like I nerd out a little bit because I used to box. I used to. My brother was the one that was into MMA growing up, and so I was kind of his punching bag. So I learned a few
awesome.
things from him. But yeah, ever since then, I think it was like it's something that I really miss. Like I just like boxing gyms just are so
You
expensive.
should come one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it again?
It's
Institute
the
of-
Institute of Mixed Martial Arts.
Shit, man. Okay. I might
Yeah.
have to.
All you guys should come. It'll be cool.
Yeah, dude, you should come, bro. This guy
I
loves.
don't want.
This guy loves MMA more than anybody else in this room right now.
I don't want it to like wake up something that had dormant, right now.
all the rage.
Yeah. Every time I watch like a kung fu movie, like every time I watch Ip Man, everyone's a punching bag.
I know.
Yeah, so you know.
For us, it's John Wick.
Oh,
John
that's a
Wick.
good one. See, Donnie Yen, who played the blind guy, and the third one is the fourth one.
I think it's the fourth one.
So his movies are Chinese movies, but he has his character is Ip Man, who's based off Bruce Lee's actual teacher.
yeah.
Okay.
And so they kind of go through his life and how he, learned the style of kung fu that didn't think it was practical for men because it was more of self-defense for women.
It was created by a woman.
Yeah, and so he took that kung fu and made it his own. And Bruce Lee wanted to be one of his students, and that's how Bruce Lee developed his style of kung fu.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
If you ever see like the rolling fist like this, that's probably an Ip Man reference.
yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of his
Yeah.
movements, if you could see when he was moving, like because also like in Wing Chun, it's more of like blocking and defense. So when he was in John Wick, he was using a lot of those movements too.
Yeah.
He was predicting where John Wick's movements were, and he was already putting his hands there.
Okay.
You guys gotta hate me. I only seen the first one,
Hey, I
want to watch the rest of them.
I
but
didn't. I only watched 3 and 4 because I was forced
Really?
to.
Oh, okay. That makes me
Yeah.
feel better.
Well, it's because I watched the third one and they were like, "Yeah, this is the best movie ever." And then I went and watched it and I was like, "Dude, he said 3 words. There was no dialogue."
Yeah, it's all action.
Yeah, and I wasn't prepared for that. I was preparing for more speaking, more background because they were like, "You don't have to watch the first 2," and I was like,
Is the third one with the dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Like a German Shepherd, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
it German
Yeah.
Shepherds? I was like, I want 2 German Shepherds now.
I know I need to watch these, but I just feel weird. I don't know, like just not putting in the time me not putting in the time to watch John Wick because I want to watch the one with Donnie Yen in it because we love him. But
Just
I'm
watch
like,
that
I
one.
have to watch the rest.
"You're
of them.
fine. You can skip it."
I know,
Like I did.
I don't know why I'm being.
But no, and then and then after watching the fourth one, I kind of like built an appreciation for the cinematography because of the
this is-
scenes that
yeah.
you have to, like the choreography that has to go behind each fight scene is so crazy because Keanu Reeves is an absolute animal for being able to do a lot of that stuff too.
At the age of what, 50?
Yeah,
Something?
he's amazing.
Sorry, you got us talking about movies. We actually really love movies here. So
Yeah. Once a movie gets mentioned, I'm like, November's coming up. I'm gonna watch Harry Potter, all of them, and then,
like, yeah.
and then today's the 1st of October, so I'm gonna
Like
watch a
horror
scary
movies.
movie right
Yeah,
after
yep,
this,
yep.
and then there goes my 31 movies that
I'm going home watch a movie right after this.
yeah.
Sorry.
But we're coming towards the end of the podcast. This is where we kind of open the floor. If you have any discussions that you would like to bring up, or for reasons why people are out there that need to understand what's going on in Utah, this is a perfect opportunity to start opening up the floor to that kind of conversation.
Okay. So I think it's important to know who your representative is. And you can go find that on like the Lieutenant Governor's website. You can search by map or just type in your address. And you can also like track their bills and see like how they're representing you for your community. Yeah, I think just by doing that, it kind of pulls you in to get involved. So you're not like sitting there like, oh, I should get involved. I should because this, like, just go see what your representative is voting for and against. And that will automatically get you involved. You'll be like, I don't like that. Or why are they doing this?
That's a great tip for young voters too.
Yeah, because with us having to learn a little bit more about you, I got to learn more about what's going on in South Salt Lake and other places in Utah as well. So it did open my eyes up because I'm not a voter. I've never been on one side to another because it didn't make a difference to me. But as I got older, as I'm getting older now, it is making a big difference of where I am in this state because a lot of the things that are going on that I'm like going around and seeing, I'm like, well, I really don't like how this is happening. But it's because people are not sticking up for themselves or not being educated about what's happening that they can go make this change.
Yeah, and if you want to vote, you could just go to vote.utah.gov and request a mail-in ballot, and it will come to your door, and there you can see all the candidates in the races that are in your district, and you can, if you get a mail-in ballot, you could even keep that on your counter for a few days and just kind of research each person, and you don't have to vote like straight Republican or straight Democrat. Maybe you like Kamala Harris, but you think that a Republican in the House seat is better. So,
No, that's really useful information. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that you can vote for either or. I thought it was just one side and that's what you're sticking with.
yeah.
So yeah, that's actually more information. I want to thank you for like informing us about all this stuff that's happening because a lot of this stuff was right under our nose and I did not know any of this was really happening. Like most of us that are casually just living our lives, just go about our day 9 to 5, and do other things, go out on the weekends. But once again, our fight because we talk about this community that we're building, we're fighting for the state of Utah as well as content creators and people that live here. We're fighting for the musician that doesn't get heard or the artist that doesn't get seen. We're fighting for all those things because these are people that are representing our city at the fullest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is such a diverse population. We need to coexist, but we don't need to compromise.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the end of the podcast. This is where we have a segment. It's called the Chef Special. It's free advice to the viewers, something that you've taken in life that you think can be useful to people that are out there watching.
Okay. Something that I have taken in life. I want to say to show up. Like that would be the message is just showing up and being persistent. Because there's nothing like what has gotten us this far is just doing it every day. With you guys, what has gotten you this far? It's just by consistently just doing it every day or every week. Some are better than others. Some podcasts might be amazing, but others, it's like you can't have that one event that didn't go well just be the ending. You just got to keep showing up. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you'll get far.
That's true.
That's exactly what we talk about all the time.
Yeah, that's our biggest advice as, people that do podcasts and people that do represent what we are. Just keep going out there and really you have to really just do it in order for you to know if you really like what you're doing. Because honestly, I don't even know if I like podcasting. I just do it because I can do this without the cameras though.
Oh yeah, I think that's like important. I mean, we might be getting a little too like passionate here, but it's like everything that we do, I feel like we don't have to try to get like a number to it or an end result for it. It's kind of just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Especially with the podcast, we also do ourselves too, and then also really into fashion. So these are things like I think we'll continue to just do whether people are watching or not.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's for any young person. If you like doing it, just keep doing it. And if you want to see some results and monetize it, like that's all for it. But just like as long as you love, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Keep it up.
But for people that want more information about you and what's going on, where can they find that information?
Okay, so our website is sarforutah.com, SAR4utah.com. We have got Instagram, Sarah D. Montes, or Facebook, Sarah Montes for HD32. And we just started an X. So we'll be using that a little bit more.
Okay.
Perfect.
Everything will be in the description below. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll reach out to Sarah or Joey and then get those questions answered. If anyone has any questions for you guys, they can go ahead. Can they ask you as well? Is there an open platform where stuff can be, spoken about?
Yes. Also, my phone number. So the 801-440-4601 is my personal number. And I give that out because I want to hear from anybody and everybody. So I'm very accessible.
Yeah. Okay. That's even crazier to hear that you have your personal number out there that be able to be accessible like that. That just goes to show where you are at with where you want to be at in this race, that you're so personable that you're willing to put something like that out.
Yeah.
Very open.
What anybody has to say means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad.
That's good to know. But thank you guys for tuning in to Off the Menu Podcast, episode 114. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us here and talking about this oncoming election that's happening here in Utah and the things that are going on in this space that we need to hear more of. Make sure you guys follow everything in the description below. But that's episode 114 of Off the Menu Podcast. Peace out, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.